Welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt Thiessen here with life coach Linda Armstrong, and this is your daily dose of happy. We are so happy you decided to join us this day, and it's been quite a week here on LOA Today. It's been very upbeat, actually, even more so than usual. I've been getting a lot of help from my co-hosts with the talks I've been putting together, and getting some good input and feedback about that. And we've been talking about how me personally, and I think many of my co-hosts are feeling pretty optimistic about what's going on globally and societally, that things seem to be moving up now, which is a really good thing. It's almost like the world took a breath. And it's been 2 weeks since Linda's been on. We've been missing her. We had Dean McMurray sit in for you last week, and he did a wonderful job, but it's good to have you back. How you doing?
Good. Nice to be back. Ready for our show, whatever wants to come up today.
Well, there's going to be plenty, I'm sure. I have something actually to start us off with, because we received an email from Deborah, one of our regular listeners. Actually, I received a couple of emails from her, but one of them in particular I wanted to share because, first of all, it references you, Linda, and second of all, it's one of the many emails we've been getting lately that have been just really very positive and supportive and just feel good. We had one yesterday, from a listener who had been listening for the past year, Linda, and she itemized all of the wonderful things that had been happening in her life that she attributed in part to listening to the show. I think it actually had more to do with her focusing her mind where she needed to and keeping her vibe up. But oh my goodness, she went through an amazing year. And it's just kind of a reminder that there are, at least within our own community, there are a lot of great things that are happening with our listeners and with co-hosts and so forth. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to take a moment to read this. It's a little bit long, but bear with me. She says, first of all, I am so grateful to Sarah for asking such interesting questions in the first place. This was a couple weeks ago. And to you for your persistence in asking all of your co-hosts about them, what Barbara's email too. I was also a little confused about the term access bars, imagining some cosmic dating bars or such like, and didn't pay it that much attention, but Linda's explanation was so grippingly heartfelt and fascinating, I was hooked. I loved her statement, as you release, you're filling up with love. That totally resonates with me. And that, as she says, of all the modalities discussed, it's all the same stuff. But isn't it fascinating and fun exploring them and seeing when your inner knowing where it's going to send you next? I've been so focused on Abraham and, quote, nothing serious going on here, never mention or focus on anything negative as you'll just attract more of it, unquote. So I was resolutely refusing to acknowledge any negativity within me. But it felt that there was a missing piece. As you know, you're repeatedly talking about mirror work has me taking the plunge with astonishing results. So I have to agree that at least for me, the deprogramming and exploration of self-love makes total sense. Also, through your show, I have become very interested in the work of David Strickle, and I'm probably going to do TYA Bootcamp. Good for you, Deborah, which is most exciting. Major reprogramming there. Anyway, wanted to share that as I was washing up the breakfast things yesterday and listening to the end of the show, Linda mentioned the Ho'oponopono statement and said the phrases, and just on hearing them, I literally burst into tears over the washing up. Of course, I checked out Joe Vitale afterward. Great stuff. And did a Brian Scott Ho'oponopono meditation after my mirror work session and bawled my eyes out in a very good and clearing way. Absolutely see how these powerful phrases connect with the concept of self-love. I also have problems waking in the night and getting back to sleep. I repeated the phrases and fell back to sleep and woke up feeling, once again, as Linda says, so much lighter. So, although I still love the work of Abraham, just wanted to share this pretty personal experience, particularly in case it might resonate with anyone who might be feeling the same regarding the teachings of Abraham. Doing clearing self-love work, I'm finding to be of massive benefit and freeing me up for more of that love to flood in and occupy those spaces. It has not mired me in useless self-contemplation and negative introspection, attracting negativity in my life. Oh, no, quite the opposite. As Joe Vitale mentioned, I now find myself repeating those Ho'oponopono clearing statements throughout the day. It feels like a very helpful anchor. Sorry if this is a bit long, as usual, but hope this might be useful to some to hear. And once again, wanted to send huge thanks and appreciation to you and Linda and all the wonderful LOA Today team. Your show is most definitely having a hugely positive impact. Oh, and your talk is going to, in my best attempt at a U.S. accent, totally rock. And then she sent me another email with some great input on the talk itself. So thank you, Deborah. That was really great to hear from you and hear how the stuff we've been talking about has been impacting you so positively. So, and I wanted to make sure you heard that one, Linda, because that was some good stuff about the stuff that you shared.
Yeah. Great. Awesome. Glad to see it's helping her. And don't take it so lightly because you kind of made it seem like it's her own doing, but the show had an impact on her. The show has helped her to go towards and see maybe what it is that she's guided to by knowing that she can be guided to it just by listening to conversation you have here. So don't downplay the role of your show because you kind of did that in the beginning.
Did I do that? Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I have that tendency.
And I recognize that because I couldn't take a compliment forever. I had to learn how to take a compliment. And that's part of a self-loving thing. So that could even be part. You could even add that, see where that takes you to add it to your talk in some way if something comes up sometime,
That's a good point. Yeah. I hadn't thought of that, but that's a good idea.
I honestly didn't realize it. I mean, for me, I wouldn't take compliments because I know that my being complimented when I was younger made my sister feel bad because my teachers would compare her to me and telling her, why can't you be more like your sister? So for me, it felt bad to be complimented. And I didn't realize it until I was in my 40s that I couldn't actually take a compliment without downplaying it or changing the topic.
It's a good point. It's a very good point.
I just heard that a tiny bit when you said, not that it was the show, she found it for herself, but the show guided her.
Yeah. I guess what I was trying to say with that other listener is that I wanted to give her credit for what she had done because she'd done all the work throughout the year. Yes, we provided some support, and I like the fact that we provide the support. But I just think when somebody does the work, they deserve the credit. So, but if that came across as me downplaying the show, I didn't intend that. But thank you for pointing it out.
But look at it this way: her guidance guided her to listen to your shows.
True. Oh yeah.
So your shows were definitely I think in her mind, a big part of it. And let's celebrate that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah,
because
you're right.
She drew that to herself.
And I've got little chills running up and down my spine as you're saying that.
Go.
So that's a good thing.
Right. So it was her that pulled you in to give her even more of what she's looking for. Right. So,
yeah. It's one of the things that I really dreamed about as I was putting this podcast together, starting 8.5 years ago. It wasn't something that I knew was going to happen. It was it was more than a hope. It was halfway between hope and knew. It was like pretty sure that it was going to work this way, but I couldn't be totally sure because it hadn't happened yet.
But it was your intention, wasn't it?
It was definitely the intention. The intention was pretty strong, and it's playing out that way. It's played out actually better in many ways than I expected because, I think part of it is because even when we're trying to put out an intention at the beginning before something has happened, we fill in as many details as we can, but we don't have all the details because we haven't lived it yet, right? And I think that's what I'm really recognizing and appreciating now is all the details that came along kind of filling in ways that I didn't expect and just made the whole thing so much better. And
it even speaks to how you hear many people speak about asking for this or more.
Or more, right, exactly. Yeah, that or more piece is amazingly powerful.
Because then you open it up to spirit to give you what wants to come instead of limiting at what you think. I think this is the most I can do and this would be great. But what about all that other stuff?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
We're so good at limiting ourselves too. So that's a great point for all of us just to remember to just, open up the intentions a little bit more. Just, give ourselves a little bit more room to be pleasantly surprised by what comes along. Because cool things come along when you do that.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Should I pick a card or is there something else you want to go for? Just see what wants to come up?
We haven't done cards very much in a while, so let's pull a card out. It sounds like a good idea.
What wants to come up? Yeah. Because sometimes I'll pull out cards when I have clients and sometimes I don't. And I was with a client today who I've never pulled out cards for, but for some reason it told me to pull out the cards. I got the message, pull out the cards today. So
okay.
Then, and I did pull a card which was exactly perfect for what was going on with the session. Nice. So, then I looked at them to put them away and I'm like, no, it's radio show time.
Gotta keep that one out. Okay.
Cards want to come out today.
When you get the impulse, you have to go with it, right?
So we're just asking, let me do one more shuffle. We're just asking for, whatever's whatever people most need to hear at this moment from this show. So let's just ask for that.
I'm also going to ask for a second one, but I'll do it after this. Since you made that request, we'll go with this one, then I'll have another request that I just remembered I should put out there. Okay.
Okay.
Joy and contentment.
Joy and contentment.
Okay.
I like that.
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right, so let's see. Yeah, this is a new deck to me, so I haven't heard this one, but I like it. Look, she's got wings.
Beautiful artwork. I love the decks that have the beautiful artwork. That just kind of makes them more special.
Okay, so it says, be here now. Enjoy the present moment and all of the positive experiences that have unfolded and are continuing to unfold. A wave of contentment is washing over your life. Contentment is about taking time to reflect on your situation, enjoying the moment, and trust that you're always being guided. Your angel team is encouraging you to follow your heart now. Do what makes your heart and soul sing. Do what makes you smile, dance, and rejoice in the glory of this life. Your angel guide is encouraging you to live your joyfully. Know that your ultimate purpose is to live joyfully, and through the expression of your joy, you will reach a state of bliss and contentment. Happiness is the key to inner peace, and you are being given an opportunity to experience it right now, right? It's always in the now. I mean, we always have this now. We don't know what comes next. And hey, the past, the past.
That's true.
Right?
Yep.
So extended message is, if you find yourself feeling sad, drained, or overwhelmed, know that this is all about to change. Ooh, I like that. In order to usher positive energy into your life, your angels are encouraging you to do what makes you feel alive. Whether you're drawn to pursuing a hobby, spending time in nature with loved ones, or even having a digital detox. Yeah, I'd say that's a big thing right now, a digital detox.
Okay.
And you're being guided to make those moves now. Anything that makes you feel positive, blessed, and joyful will support you in magnetizing more of these feelings and experiences into your life. Your angels are waiting to shine their light and love in the world. So call on them and bring that love in now. All right.
Let's talk a little bit about that digital detox idea. That's an interesting one and fairly specific too. I mean, the cards usually have messages that are directly related to what we're talking about, but that's a very, very specific thing to say. What does that what does that bring to your mind when you think of that?
Well, to my mind, when people are, and I remember I was taking a theta healing course in New York City, and you go into even just walking down a hallway of an office building, or you go in the elevator, like on your way to go out and get lunch or whatever I was doing the course. Immediately, everybody has their device in front of them.
Yeah.
And everybody's looking down at the device. They're not looking at what's out there in the world. Mm-hmm. And it's input. It's just constant input. And not all of it's good.
Right.
It's like, most of it's bad, put it that way.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, most of it's bad. So a digital detox is when you can just disconnect, because that's all outside stuff. It's nothing that's coming from within you. Mm-hmm. Even though you might say, I'm drawing that vibrationally or whatever, but we're talking about just being in your true nature as spirit, just sitting and feeling yourself blend with the world. So for me, that's what I do when every time I have some kind of energy, especially right now, because we're deep into moving into a higher consciousness. And so there's a lot of lower energies coming up, and then people who are really sensitive feel it. Mm-hmm. And so when I feel that coming in, I just keep connecting to the light. Clear. I just keep connecting to the light and bring so much of it in and feel myself expand into the everything. It's just like tuning into my room, my house, the trees outside, the snow, whatever. Tuning into the natural things that exist and not having stuff thrown at me. Thrown at you. It's
true, because when we do have that ongoing connection online like that, we're encouraging that stuff to be thrown at us. I mean, regardless of what we're focusing on, we're saying more please, more please, more please. And that does have a deleterious effect. It can be a toxic effect. So I like the idea of the detox. I like the idea and I've been kind of doing this anyway. I've been doing less and less online. I mean, some things I have to do online just because it's related to what I do, but to the extent that I can get away from it, I've been getting away from it. I mean, Louise has been seeing a lot more of me lately. It's like, what are you doing out here? Well, I'm I'm taking a break. It's a long one too. Be ready for it.
Yeah. Yeah. I've actually taken a huge break because I haven't put a video out in, I don't know, 2 months.
Really? Wow.
I think I told you that once before. I just wasn't feeling it.
Yeah.
And, and even, yeah, I'm doing my own kind of detox. And even when it comes to like promotion and stuff, I'm like, all I need is is source. Really. That's all I need.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do I have to play that other game? I hate playing that other game, you know?
Well, plus the detox approach, I think, is also about, I mean, we called it digital detox because that's what the card said, but it's also about releasing all of the toxic stuff that can show up and hang around in our lives. And some of it takes a while to let go of, just because, we have attachments to it, but it's like a reminder, I think what it is. It's a way of saying, okay, you got this stuff going on. You've been carrying it for quite some time. This is a good time to start letting go of it, and doing it digitally is a good way to get started on it. Because once you get it going in one field, you get it going in other ways. That's what I find anyway.
I'm just remembering, I saw a video, I don't know where, I don't know how I would find it again, but it was like a clip of something Joe Dispenza said, but it had like, somebody made a clip of something he spoke about and they added their graphics, their, video feeds to it.
Right.
And it started out with people wake up, first thing you do, you wake up in the morning, you check your emails, you check your phone. Like everybody's so
the routine.
On the computer.
Yeah.
We're so into our devices that it's almost like, people who look at kids take their device away and they have a fit. Right?
Yes. Right.
Instead, when I was young, we were playing in the streets, kick the can, and hide and seek and all kinds of stuff. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. That was all about.
I think there's also another piece too. Oh, go ahead. Finish what I interrupted you. You finish what you were saying.
What was I saying? Oh yeah, because it's just illustrating how much is like so much input from outside.
Yes,
when
exactly.
We need to just connect with, because then you forget how many people are like, why, what am I here for? Like, what's my purpose? I don't know. You don't know because you haven't tuned in, and you're looking outside of you to figure it out.
Now, there is one important piece that I want to touch on, and I probably should just waited to let you finish so that I could get there, but
that's okay. That's okay.
But the one piece is, because of what's been going on with the pandemic, the virtual or digital connection to others who we're close to, that one I think we should continue to allow as much as we can possibly allow. Because that's the one that basically feeds our souls. It helps us stay connected to each other. It helps us stay grounded and so forth. So I guess I'm going to put a caveat in saying I'm going to subtract from my experience all that other stuff that I don't really need. I'll just maintain that piece of it because, well, like when I do the show with you or with the other co-hosts, we do that digitally, right? And I'm not going to cut that part out because that's the part that's feeding me.
It's not saying cut it. It's not saying cut it out. It's just saying be aware of where it's serving you, where it's not, or how much you're doing it, or how little you're doing within yourself.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, because you don't want to cut off the nose to spite the face.
It's the way the world works now. We're not going to cut it out.
Right.
But we could decide how much of it is really does our soul want. Mm-hmm. Do what you thought. Do as much of it as feeds your soul. Like you're just saying, if I'm talking to friends or whatever, that feeds my soul.
Exactly. Yeah. Because that's where we regenerate our energy. So
before we go to another card, you had a question for your own. What is it?
Well, actually, it's a listener who had sent in a question, and I had automatically assigned it to Dean on Tuesday because Rita she's on her sabbatical right now. So I kind of said, well, if she's not there, so I'll have to give it to Dean. But then it occurs to me, well, you actually could probably help out too. So let me bring in his question. I'm going to ask it both today and on Tuesday, and that way he can get a double dose of it, I guess. But he says, I just figured I would ask the Psychic Friends Network you've created here a question. There's a lot of things up in the air in my life right now. It's not freaking me out too much, but I would like some guidance from the other side. So any help would be appreciated. Thank you. Love the show and keep up the good work. So what do you think?
Well, what's the question?
The question is, he's dealing with this stuff that's up in the air right now, and he's looking for some guidance about how to deal with it.
All right. So he doesn't want to give anything specific about what's up in the air.
Yeah, exactly. I can tell you, he did post in the new group that I set up about building self-love. He has been doing the mirror exercises for 30 days, and the only strong change that he's seen is that he's very excited about going to the mirror to do the exercises. So that's the plus, but he's not seeing the kind of changes that I've talked about, like, that voice in the back of the head shutting up and so forth. He hasn't seen that happening yet. So he needed a little bit of support.
So you're saying he has stuff going on in his life, and now he's implementing things he's learned about with working with energy and law of attraction to what's going on in his life. And you're saying he hasn't really noticed much change except he enjoys doing. You're combining the two, or is it totally separate?
I'm kind of bringing them together, not necessarily that they are part of the same message, but just two pieces of information to kind of fill in the gap. Because, like you said, it's a little vague what he was asking for.
Yeah. Okay. So that's what that's what Spirit knows, right? So we're just gonna, that's what we put out there. We're just going to pick a card now and see what it says.
Okay, that's fair.
And so I don't know how much we could we'll see what we can elaborate on or not. Self-acceptance.
I don't think we're going to have to do a lot of elaboration. That one's really good.
So let's see what it says, though, because maybe it'll help him in some way beyond what he may be looking for with what he's been learning from what you've been sharing, right?
Sure. Okay.
Okay. So let's see. I'm curious. Okay, so it says, you are making incredible efforts to heal and release habits and thoughts that once held you back. Take a moment to look at yourself through the loving eyes of Mother, Father, God, and appreciate how far you've come, all the adversity you've faced, and the person that you are today. Angels are wrapping their wings around you and encouraging you to see what they see. And they see you as perfect just the way you are. If your confidence has dropped recently, or you've not been as positive as you would like to have been, change that now by giving yourself credit where it is due. Maybe you've discovered that negative talk and thoughts aren't working for you. Ooh. When you actually are conscious of that, that's huge, right?
That's right.
This is a time to try loving yourself instead. To get started, try speaking to yourself more respectfully and giving yourself some leeway and some time to change. When this card appears, know that your self-esteem and confidence have taken some knocks over the years and that you have had thoughts that are no longer serving you. So before we even go on, I would say that's an important point, because so many times we try to make sense of the now by looking back at before.
Right. Yep.
But let's just wipe it clean. What if all of that was wiped from your memory or didn't exist and you're here, right now? Who do you see in that mirror doing those mirror exercises that you shared with him, right? Can you look at the experiences that you've had that maybe have led you to not trusting or knowing maybe your connection or the power that you have within? So maybe the self-confidence is not really realizing that you actually have this power to change your life, right? Not seeing that for yourself.
It's easy too, what you're describing, especially early on with the mirror exercises. It's very easy to kind of fall into that trap. That's really what that is. That's a little trap that says, oh, well, I'm taking steps, but nothing's really happening. And you're not giving yourself credit for what's happening.
Right. And so let's just take what the card started out with. You are making incredible efforts to heal, because even just the decision to want to do that is very healing. So if he can just acknowledge that for himself, that although he may not see things shifting or changing immediately or in the way he thinks they ought to, doesn't mean that they aren't.
That's a great point. Yeah.
So then it gets back to detaching yourself from the way you think it ought to be or the way somebody else's experience was. Because that's the other thing too. When you first start getting into all of this, you hear about other people's experience. And so you compare yours to that one.
True,
meanwhile, there's unlimited possibilities of all the different ways in which change can come.
Right.
And if we lock into how these examples, well, your example might be like so amazing that those examples are holding it back. because you're not allowing for this amazing thing to drop in because you have preconceived ideas. That's always the fight. Preconceived ideas of how it needs to come, which is where we started in the beginning with the and more. This way or whatever way works best for me.
That's true. Yeah.
I like to say, whatever's for my highest and best.
That's a good way to do it.
My highest and best. But, like this feels good to me. Like I would love for this to occur in my life, but I'll leave it up to spirit to send me whatever is for my highest good. Right?
Yeah.
So maybe these type of, little bit of conversation helps him. So let me continue. It says, but your angels want nothing more than for you to be happy and at peace. And they're drawn close now to help you restore your confidence in yourself. I want to remember to say something. So remind me I was going to say something. Okay. You have the ability to live a life that you love, but to experience that fully, you have to recognize that you are worthy of it. So take some time today and realize that heaven loves you unconditionally, and then take small steps to loving yourself in the same way. The outer world you experience is a mirror of the conversations you have on the inside of yourself, so align them with love. Now, love, I love that they ended with that, because love heals everything. Love heals all. So if we're seeing these things that we don't like, number one, feel the feeling how it really doesn't resonate, because your truth is telling you, no, that's not your truth. Because what you are is love, and what you are is joy, and you can have all kinds of beautiful experiences because that's who you are. So when that other thing comes in, it doesn't feel right because it's not your truth. Right? The truth will always make you feel light, make you feel good. Anything else that's heavy is not your truth. So that's even kind of a simple way to look at when things don't feel right. And again, that's your intuition speaking to you, like, no, this isn't right. And anything that makes you think, no, this is what I deserve because, I was a real asshole when I was younger or whatever. All those, that's outside conversations. That's somebody else dumping some shit on you to make you feel bad, right? When our soul knows, okay, I may have screwed up and made some mistakes, but inside of me now is this love that wants to come through, and I want to experience, you're moving past that. So the good thing is you want to look at whatever it is that he thinks is not right in his life. Look at, and we've talked about this before too, look at how it was right. What is right about this that I'm not seeing? How did this help me in some way? Even if it was, so say you have a really horrible parent. You turn out to be the best parent there is for your kids because you learned how not to be a horrible parent.
Yeah. You said also to remind you to bring up something you like, drew a little X in the air.
Yeah. Okay. So I've been doing this a lot lately. Because everybody can, not just because I tune into energy and I do energy work. So Walt, you're going to be the experimenter for this.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm the guinea pig.
and I'm telling people to do this because it works. So even if you don't think you can meditate, or I don't know how to meditate, like what I'll do a lot of times is, say I wake up in the middle of the night and maybe my mind might start thinking about stuff and then it's hard to go back to sleep. That's like common for people, right? Even if it's good stuff, like you got this idea and now you can't wait to get up so you can implement it, but no, I need to sleep. I got to sleep, that whole thing, right? So whatever it might be, I'm just giving an example. You can do this anytime you want, but I'm giving an example because that's when I like to do it best. And I think it's good too because everything's really quiet in the world. There's not all that hustle bustle of people driving here and there, at least in your immediate area in your time zone, right?
Right.
So I'll just lay there and I'll just, as if I'm meditating, but I'm not really meditating. I'm just quieting my mind and I just start talking to spirit and I just ask for whatever healing can come through right now that would really give me peace, would help me fall back asleep or I don't even do it for falling back asleep. I just do it because it's an opportunity. So that then recently sometimes I wake up a lot during the night and because we're doing so much clearing for the planet, I'm thinking, okay, I'm supposed to do more clearing. That's why I keep waking up. So I'll just go into this zone and I'll just ask for healing to come in. Just ask for it. You're just laying there. You can have conversations if you want with spirit, but ultimately you just want to then ask. And I just ask for whatever healing is best for me, from the highest good for me right here, right now, that would help not only me, but for me to radiate that out into the world. I ask for that to come in. And I just lay there. and my whole body will start buzzing. It'll start buzzing and it feels so good. And actually it's so nurturing that I don't even know that I fall asleep. You know, I'm just feeling that energy. And actually sometimes I'll do it in the morning too when I first wake up. And I'll just do it and I'll just stay with the energy for a while. And I'm like, okay, I really got to get up now. Yeah.
I've done the exact same thing. And I know, I mean, that's something I have been a guinea pig on because I have done almost exactly what you described. I don't necessarily use the phrase to give me whatever healing I need most, but it's pretty much in the same vibrational area. It's more the way I do it. It tends to be like, all right, I'm waking up right now. I feel some vibrational level. Usually, no matter what it is, no matter how high it is, I want to aim a little bit higher than that. You know, so the request becomes, help me get to that higher level.
Okay.
So I can start the day on the highest level I can start on.
Okay, good. So so there's no right way or wrong way, but now can you feel the energy come in?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And you're the guy who didn't understand energy and didn't think he could ever do it.
Well, that was a while ago, but yes.
That's why I know, but you didn't think you could do it.
That's true. I was convinced I couldn't do it. It wasn't that I didn't think I could. I was convinced. Yeah.
Like I happen to know you didn't think you could do it.
That's right.
Yeah. And you
can't.
That's
true.
So it's a perfect example. That's why I said you can be the guinea pig because I knew you'd be able to do it. I wanted you to know you could do it. And you've already done it. So
I've already done it. Yeah. I've been doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And enjoying it, I might add too.
So for this person, maybe, you know, what we're talking about right here, play with that. And if you don't feel anything, no big deal. Do it another time. Because the mind will get in the way and tell you, even if you're not listening to it, what do you think? You can do this? You're not special. You don't know how to do it. You don't have to be special. You just have to be alive to have the ability to be able to have the energy come in. Because we are energy. Everything is energy. Energy and vibration, right? It's all frequencies. So why can't you as an energy being tune into more energy? But I like asking for the healing. I like to ask them for the healing to come in because no matter what it is, healing is that energy of love. So when that energy comes in, it just feels amazing. Now I felt it as a buzzing. Maybe you can say how you felt it, how it feels. Like I feel like a buzz, like a vibration throughout my whole body. But it could be anything. It could be whatever you feel that feels good to you.
I feel it as it's more visual, which is kind of unusual for me to say because visual is never my strong suit, but I feel it in terms of the visual field getting brighter. That's how I actually feel better about getting up because it feels like the world just got brighter. If the world got brighter, it must be a good day. You know, that kind of an attitude, of a feeling.
So that's perfect. And I love that your example is different than mine because it could be any way. It doesn't have to be how I said it comes to me or how you said it comes to you. Because that's where people get hung up. I know I got hung up there for a long time, especially with meditation. I kept listening to other people's experiencing and thinking I should be experiencing what they're experiencing.
Yeah.
And that held me back for a long time until I said, screw it. I'm just going to do whatever I do. And then I had my own experience, you know? Yeah.
Well, that is half the battle is being aware of what is coming through rather than what we expect is coming through. I like the way you said it before. You used the phrase your truth. And I get the feeling that perhaps in Daniel's case, I know this is going to be true for a lot of people. We do as humans have a tendency to want to find the truth. Like it's an objective thing that's out there. When in fact, the truth is going to be what's unique for each one of us. It's not going to be the same. My truth is not going to be the same as yours. There are going to be similarities because we're all high vibe aimers, but the truths are going to feel different to everybody.
And I'll go even further. Some people are going to stay on the third dimension. Some are going to go in the fourth. Some are going to go to the fifth. Each one of those is going to be their truth. Right. If someone can't raise their vibration enough in their awareness to sense truth, they may not go to this level. They might just stay there.
That's true. And we have to be okay with that.
It's going on right now. There are different dimensions going on at the same time. Right now.
Yeah.
And you can feel yourself too. Like if you have, you can be feeling so great and and you really vibing. And we talked about the squirrel. I walk around, oh, I'm 5D today. I'm feeling good. Right? And then like the next day or two, I might be like, oh shit, I'm back in the third dimension.
What happened?
Oh my God, I'm back here again. But then I'll do like clearing my energy. And you can kind of feel the difference, because when you're in that lower energy, everything feels different.
Yes.
Then when you're in this higher energy, and everything feels so different. A whole different way of different, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah. That is the other cool thing, I think, that happens as we basically become acclimated to where our energy is at, where our vibration is at, just by paying attention on a day-to-day basis. It just, the awareness becomes greater and greater over time, so that, like you were just saying, if we're having a higher vibe day, it feels really high vibe. Or if we're having a lower vibe day, it feels really lower vibe. Whereas I can recall, when I was first learning this stuff, I could barely tell the difference between them. It just seemed like they were so similar. But over time, the more that we learn to pay attention to it, the bigger, the contrast almost seems to get bigger. I mean, I imagine it really isn't bigger. We're just kind of noticing it more, but it seems like the contrast gets bigger, which is pretty wild.
It's almost like you tune into so much more levels within the same stuff.
Yeah, right.
And the thing too is, especially with people who are light workers, you start to realize if it's yours or not, because you know your own junk. You're like, oh, yeah, that's definitely, yeah, I totally resonate with. I totally, yeah. And sometimes you're like, this doesn't feel like mine. You can just ask, is this mine? And if you feel like if you feel like no, then you can clear it, and you can do what we just were talking about. Just ask for the clearing, ask for the healing, ask for the clearing. I still stick by, and I love that my guides gave me this message a long time ago. There's no right way. Find your own way and keep it simple, because we are each our own creators.
True. And
we've just given so much of our power away to outside of us. So we have to get back in tune with, well, what is my truth? And yeah, that's where we've been, especially last year, this year, even more so.
And if we have, like you say, and I think most of us have at one point or another, if we have given away our power, taking it back not only feels empowering, not to be pedantic with the word, but it also feels new. Like, oh, wow, I'm getting this power that I didn't have before. Well, actually, I did have it before. I kind of gave it away. And so I've kind of left that part out of the equation.
You know what the word you want is? The remembering. That's
remembering.
What it is. When we awaken, it's a remembrance. We're returning back to our true nature.
Right. That's exactly right. It is a remembering. Yeah. It's just funny how when we're in the middle of it, it doesn't feel like a remembering. I mean, toward the end, there's not really an end, but toward the point where we've been doing it for a while, then the remembering starts to feel like a remembering. But I know, I'll speak for myself. Early on, I didn't feel like I was remembering anything. I felt like I was just going with what other people were telling me, because I wasn't catching any waves at all. I was just saying, oh, well, okay, here we are in LOA today, and I'm just going to listen to my co-hosts because they know what they're talking about. But over time, you get a sense of it. You start to feel it again. And as you start to feel it again, then it does start to feel like a remembering. I would say for myself, I may be like, I don't know, 25 to 30% of the way toward really remembering. But at least I have that. 8 years ago, I didn't have that at all. I wasn't even close to that.
Right. And so, but somehow you were guided to do that.
Somehow.
So you can get it. Just like that woman who wrote the letter, right?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And I didn't even know how. I wasn't sure what was happening. All I knew was I was just taking steps. And I guess that's the point I'm trying to make. You don't necessarily know how you're going to get there, when you're going to get there, where you're going. You just keep taking steps. And when you keep taking the steps, you find out. So when I see Daniel's question, that this really touches nicely on what Daniel was asking about, because he says, it's not freaking me out too much, but I would like some guidance from the other side. And as you pointed out, he's getting the guidance. He just has to give it some time to basically acclimate himself and learn how to recognize it, how to take it in and appreciate it. And that doesn't happen overnight necessarily. That's a skill.
And the key that you didn't say is trust it. Because that's the big thing. When we first start realizing we have this guidance, it's hard to trust it
Mm.
because we've been so steered away from it by having to have all this outside influence.
That's right.
Everybody else telling us how it is, you know? So.
No doubt about it. Well, I mean, that's only going to bring this up with Dean again on Tuesday, but I think we gave Daniel a lot of good stuff to work with. So
okay, so let's just go to trust your guides.
Is that a Choquette book?
Yeah, trust your vibes. Sorry, okay. Trust your vibes. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
Trust your guides, trust your vibes, same thing.
Well, there's actually a pretty strong similarity there, isn't there?
Oh yeah, because what are you feeling? You're feeling that guidance, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so what do we get? Let's see. Instant feedback. Ah, see what she says about that. I have a feeling I know what she's going to say.
Okay.
Let me go find this. And this might be another addition to the question that he gave us. All right, so instant feedback. It's time to expand your sixth sensory toolkit and learn to use kinesiology or muscle testing. Ah, great tool for him, right? For anybody.
Yeah, sure.
Especially when you're not sure that you're having that. It's like when you use the pendulum. You know, you can get this feedback in ways, and I like using the body. Like she's probably.
We haven't done that in a while either. We talked about that quite early on, like for the first 3 or 4 months you were doing the show with me, and we haven't talked about muscle testing in a while. So it's good to bring it back in.
I'll tell people how they can do that in a minute. Let's just see what she says. So it says, it says learn to use kinesiology or muscle testing as a means to get instant vibe check on any matter at hand. So muscle testing offers quick and reliable feedback when you can't access or don't trust your normal intuitive channels. The simplest way to muscle test is to find a partner who's willing to work with you. Next, place your this is different than what I know. So let's see what she said. Place your right hand on your belly and raise your left arm. Oh, she's going to do it this way. Like a chiropractor. You've done
right. Yes.
Let your arm out to the side. Think of your question. Make certain it can be answered with a simple yes or no. With your question in mind, ask your partner to push gently down on your extended arm, using the pressure of no more than 2 fingers. If the answer is yes, your arm will resist with the pressure and remain strong and unmoved. If the answer is no, your arm will be loose, it will lose energy and power and just drop to your side. It's that simple. Remember, the key is yes or no answers, and you can try it right now for yourself. If you have someone with you, you can do that one with the arm, right? So yes would be strong and no would be weak. Or you can do it with your fingers. So I'll show you 2 ways. So one, you make a circle with one hand, and the other hand is going to be your pull through hand. So I got 3 different ways I'll show you. So you hold this one tight, you put this loop in here. Now, you can hold it really tight and kill it, but we don't do that. You just want to have enough resistance to where you have to tug on it in order to pull it through, right?
And I just want to make sure I'm describing, because obviously it's a podcast, so people can't see what we're doing.
So you make a circle with, say, I'm right-handed. I'm going to make a circle with my left hand. I'm going to pull like a chain link. I'm going to make another circle with my other hand through the first circle. So it's like a chain link. I'm going to hold one tight. The other one I'm going to pull with, right? So I'm going to put some resistance on the circle that stays shut. And I'm just going to say, yes, and I'm going to pull. Okay, now, so it's strong. Yes, it's strong. Mm-hmm. And you don't want to look at it. You want to look away from it or close your eyes. And then I'm going to say no. And I'm going to hold the same. I'm not changing how tight I'm holding the first circle. But then I close my eyes. I say no. And I can pull it through. Yes, it's tight. No. Like, look, I'm going to hold it the same. Yes, no. No. Yes, no. Right? So I'm giving examples of it just to show that. So when you know you have a yes or no, you know what yes or no feels like, then you can ask questions that can be answered with a yes or a no. Like, I'm really confident in myself. And it's tight, so that's a yes for me, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. I am really a man. I'm really a man, right? And it's like, it feels like I'm not even holding this, and it's just flying through, right?
Yeah, the impression I always had when we did this, the impression I always had was that as soon as I said a no answer, I could just feel the fingers coming apart, even though I was holding them. It's almost like they were just like they had grease on them and they just slid.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden the tensile strength that was there just kind of immediately disappeared. It was really weird.
So, and the thing is, you have to play with it because I mean, even now, sometimes I'll ask a question, and if I'm really invested in the answer and I want it to be a certain way, it could be hard to get a true answer.
Sure. Yeah.
Because I'm influencing it, right? So you want
Right.
to try to know that. So another way, besides the chain link, is what I just showed with two hands. The other one is you make that circle again with one hand, hold it with this, whatever the resistance will be. And like when I muscle test, some people are so strong. I'm like, okay, listen, use your pinky
Yeah. Right.
because it's weaker, right? So then,
Right.
so if you're like, yes, no, yes, it's the same, it's the same, it's the same. Try another finger. Try your pinky finger. And if that just flies through every time, then try a middle finger. You know what I mean? You got to play with it. Another one is, so you make that first circle. The other two, then the other hand, instead of making a loop to chain link into the first circle, instead you make it like a pry bar. You stick both those fingers through the loop. I hope I'm saying this in words good enough. Both fingers through the loop, and then you pull your fingers apart to pry your fingers open. So you make a loop, strong loop with one hand. Take your thumb and your index finger, stick it through the loop, and then pull them apart so you can pry open that circle. So
it's almost like an old-fashioned clothespin is opening up. It's that's kind of like what's going on.
So a yes and then a no. Yes, no. Okay, right. Because the first time I didn't feel my no. And you got to play with it until you feel comfortable with it. So the fail-safe, for me anyway, the fail-safe is you stand up and you find your balance. And you just stand there with eyes closed, right? Just feel yourself, just very relaxed, just standing still. And then you say, I'm sitting down, but I'm going to just demonstrate it, okay? So then you say, yes, yes, yes. And you would feel your body move forward, most likely for yes. No, no, no. You can feel it move backward.
Okay.
Right? So yes is almost always forward and no is almost always backward. I've had clients where they went one side or the other side.
Oh, okay.
They didn't go forward and back. So you have to find which direction is yes, which direction is no.
Just by letting it happen.
And then you just really relax your body, ask your question, and see which way your body wants to go, forward or back. So it's like a question I think I'm influencing this. I don't trust my answer. I'll do the stand up one. Or I'll get my pendulum out. And again,
that's what I do.
It's got to be a yes, a no. You could even do a maybe, but just stick with yes and no.
Yeah.
And one thing to know with the pendulum is that sometimes your directions can change. So you want to check. You want to hold your pendulum and say, show me yes, and see what it does. Whatever it does, show me no. Because it could change. I remember one time asking a question, and I knew the answer, but I wanted to get double checked on it. And it came out like no or something. I was doing maybe at the time, with no or maybe. I'm like, what? And it didn't. So I asked another question, like, the sky is blue today. And I got a no when it was really blue, right? So I'm like, hold on a second. I didn't know my directions could change. So then I went to, okay, show me yes. It was a totally different thing. Show me no. Right. It was all different. Then I asked the questions and I got the answers.
Right.
So that's my experience. I don't know if anybody else has ever experienced that before, but I just think it's good to double check your yes and your no.
I hadn't experienced that, to be honest. What I experienced with the pendulum, for me, the pendulum was an easier way to connect to that yes-no answer than the muscle testing, simply because it seemed to my conscious mind that I couldn't influence it like I could the muscle testing. I mean, I know I really could. I could shake.
But you can. You can.
Yeah. I mean, I could shake it around, but I was trying very hard to hold still. I was trying to be true to that. And for whatever reason, it just felt easier for me to be true to that one. So when the pendulum did start behaving the way that you kind of expect it's going to, based on what we talk about here, it's kind of a shock. I mean, I recall, I don't remember what stuff I was asking about, but I would do the test questions like you were describing. Okay, the sky is blue, and if the sky is really blue, then I should get a yes answer, or if the sky is not blue, I should get a no answer. And just just calibrating, just making sure I had everything right. And during the calibration, I would just kind of pay attention to the fact that I was doing this and be kind of amazed that it was consistently calibrating, because I felt like I was just holding it steady. I didn't feel like I was doing any kind of motions. I mean, I guess I must have been doing some sort of small motion, otherwise it couldn't happen. But nevertheless, it felt to me like I was just holding it steady, and yet I was getting very consistent answers. That really made an impact on me.
Yeah.
That made a big impact. So I'm an advocate of the pendulum.
I used the pendulum forever until I learned about muscle testing.
Well, you're the other way around then. Okay.
And like, so, I got something, it's got like, because I use it a lot. So I made a pretty one with all these little crystals, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I did videos on this, and in the video you're moving your hand. I'm like, if my hand's moving, it's not consciously moving.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I'm just asking questions, and I'm trying to hold it. And it's hard when you're doing a video like this. If you had your arms more steady, it'd be a little bit easier,
Right. Yeah, being at a comfortable angle, holding at a comfortable position was really, really critical.
Yeah, like it's good
if you strain it anyway, you throw it off.
Like the one that's holding that thing, it's good if you can, lock in your elbow and then hold it, so you have some stability.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that does
and
make
then
a difference.
Do it, and your finger might move a little, but it's not because you're doing it. And it's so slight. Like there's times I do it, there's no way you could even see my hand moving, but yet the pendulum's going, so the vibration's coming through it in however way that works.
And it's really a strange experience, because there are times where I'm doing that with the pendulum and I'm saying to myself, I'm holding this steady. I mean, I know I'm doing everything I can to hold this steady, and it's continuing to show the same answer. I mean, because the pendulum can kind of swing all over the place. But when it's giving me an answer, when I've got it calibrated and I've asked for a question, I'm getting an answer, it stays with that answer, and it stays and it stays and it stays until I change it. And that part, I think that's the specific part where I really started to say, this is cool. This is really cool.
And if you're still not sure, you can ask that question in another way, as long as it's a yes and a no answer.
What do you mean?
You can't, okay, so let's see. Well, I can't think of something right now, but you say you're asking, whatever it is you're asking for, you can always ask it maybe with a different bunch of words.
Oh, just come at it from a different direction. I see what you mean.
Yeah, like ask it. Yeah, okay. Ask that same question with different words. I should say it, not instead of a different way, with different words. But it has to still be only a yes or no answer.
Right.
You can't.
Right.
You can't. It's like, in order to get a true answer, it's got to be a yes or no.
Well, what you're really talking about there.
You have to formulate a question so that it can be a yes or no answer.
Right. But what you're really talking about there is if the one approach is giving you, indeterminate answers or whatever, just by coming up with a new way of asking the same question, what you're really doing is clarifying. You're creating clarity.
Yeah.
In your own mind.
I wasn't even if you're getting yes, but you still don't want to believe it. Like, okay, well, what if I ask it this way? Now that's what I was meaning. If you're not really sure, you're like, okay, well, it keeps giving me yes. Well, it keeps giving me yes. Okay, ask that same question another way. Mm-hmm. See if you get another yes.
Yes, okay, I gotcha. Sort of a
then
way
you can
of
say,
confirming.
okay, it's real. Okay, it's real. It's really answering my question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay, yeah, I could think of a way that I would do that. I didn't realize that I was creating this kind of a test consciously, but I was doing it. I'd ask a question using affirmative words, is the sky blue? And if I was not satisfied with the answer I was getting, I would put in inversions. So is the sky not gray? Both of them would produce a yes. Right. And that it was kind of like a way of testing to see, is this really,
Yeah, you can always ask it with different words for the same meaning. Right. As long as it's a yes or no.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy stuff. I haven't used the pendulum in quite some time, but it was worth doing I experimented with it for about a month, and I learned a lot about myself, I think, more than anything else, just doing that experimentation. So I think it was very worthwhile.
Yeah. So I was going to say, to extend that to another way of looking at it too, is when we ask our angels, okay, send me a sign, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. Again, you got to break it down to a yes or no. So it's like, if this is true and this is possible for me in my life right now, send me If you send me a cardinal, I know it's a yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You can't, send me a sign. Well, that sign could be, no, it's not going to happen. Or that sign could be, yes, it's going to happen. So it's kind of like just being specific so that you can get the best guidance, that, there won't be any confusion. So there's no doubt.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's good. That's a good piece of advice. I like that. We're nearing the end. I want to make sure I get the promotional messages in, and lately it's just been the same one as usual. Be like Daniel, be like Deborah, send in your message and use the LOA Today app to do that. That's why we created the little ask a question form on there. Don't worry about the fact that it says ask a question. It doesn't have to be a question. It can just be something you want to share, but take advantage and send it in. And when you do fill out the form, you can tick on the form which co-host you're aiming this at. It helps me a lot too, because that way I know, oh, this is for Linda, or this one's for, this one's for Monique, or this one's for Daniel, or whatever. But take advantage of it, because we love hearing from people, and we love including it in the show. And look what happens. Daniel just got all this great attention. I mean, how bad is that, right?
I wanted to add to that too. And it could just be just something on your mind, but that could even be a show topic. Like this turned into a show. It was a question. Exactly. But it doesn't have to be a question of what's going to happen in my life. It doesn't have to be a psychic question. It could be, a question about anything. Or just a something statement, you want clarity even on. A statement, something, like I'd love to hear you talk more about blah, blah.
Right.
And then we might be like, yeah, let's do it.
And we've gotten some great shows out of those kinds of things, especially this week. There were like 2 or 3 shows this week. We got some really good stuff simply out of something that somebody sent in. So yeah, definitely worth doing. Take the time to do it. Well, the one that we included yesterday was from somebody who had never sent one in before, which was really great. And what she said, you got to play the episode back. If you haven't heard it, folks, play that one back. That story is just, that will just make you feel good from your head to your toes.
What really show is that one?
It was yesterday, the one that I did with Daniel
Mangana.
That was the one where the listener from Scandinavia told about what happened over the past year listening to LOA Today, and all the marvelous changes that she made purely through intention. Really cool.
Thursday, February 18th. In case somebody's watching,
that's right.
Weeks from now, years from now, and they hop on our show.
That's true. Yeah, because people see this or hear this at different times. So you're right. Yeah. That's a good thing to point out. Yeah. So, something else I was going to bring in. What was the other thing? I should have told you to remind me. That way I would have known what it was.
Well, you were you were reminding people about asking questions, right? And you were closing out the show.
I can't remember what the other thing was. Well, I looked over at the live stream and I see Nasha's over there, and we got like a minute left. She said, can you draw a card? Why don't you draw a quick card for Nasha? We'll close off the show that way.
All right, let's do the enchanted map.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay, or whatever would help Nasha.
Yep.
The most at this moment in time, at the time that we have left here today. Ride the wave.
Okay.
Upright position.
Yeah.
Okay. What number is that? 14. All right, Nasha, you ready? It says right now, success is easy and effortless. You hear it?
Ooh.
Spirit just told you. Okay. You can be assured that you're entering a time when you can ride the wave of abundance. The tide has turned, and you can put your surfing skills to the test. Everything that you know, all your talents coupled with your hopes and dreams will carry you forward. People and circumstances have come out of the ocean of potential and possibility to take shape in a wave of spectacular activity. Know that you're definitely on the right path. So I'd say anything that makes you doubt whatever it is you're asking about is an old story, and just ignore it. Right here, right now. You've just been given the green light that it's all happening for you. So just hold that and go for it.
That's exciting. That's a good way to wind up the show too. That's a really high vibe ending. So cool stuff. All right. Thank you very much, Linda. Appreciate all of your inputs. Thank you also to our listeners. We appreciate you as well. And we will see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.